Well, the home stretch keeps on trucking on, Michael, and teams know mostly who they are. There's only a couple of playoff spots left up for grabs. Some teams are full on embracing the tank. Some teams are fighting their GM on embracing the tanks, it would appear.
Yeah.
And yeah, it should be an interesting close to season for a lot of teams and just for very different reasons. This is We Are the Game. I'm looking at Michael, and we're going to do our picks. We're using the NFL Pick'em website, which looks exactly like this right here. We've got some really fun games this week. Some games where I will be rooting for a tie or just somehow both teams to lose, like this first one. But yeah, it's be some good games. So let's do this, Michael.
Sounds good.
All right. So Thursday night, we have the Rams going to play the Seahawks for round 2 this year in these two teams. The first game was really close, and the Rams won it because they didn't make mistakes, and the Seahawks lost it because they did. Now, the game looks a little bit closer than I think it really was. It was, I think it was 22-12 or something like that with 2.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and the Seahawks made it look more respectable at the very end. So good for them, I suppose, but it really wasn't that close. But it's amazing that it wasn't a blowout since they lost the turnover battle 4-0. If they can avoid doing that, they'll have a real shot at winning this game, I feel like. But I guess we'll see. They also didn't get very much pressure. That amazing defense did not get much pressure at all on Matt Stafford. That offensive line in LA has been incredible this year, and it's also stayed very healthy. So, yeah, who do you have winning this one?
Yeah, I mean, it should be a really fun matchup again. I mean, the big thing that the Seahawks did in the first one was Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions. So, I'm going to go ahead and put money that he throws fewer than 4 in this game. And if he had thrown fewer than 4 in that game, I don't know that the Rams would have walked out of there with that win. So, and that's before Devontae Adams, who is currently not supposed to play in this game, who is their red zone offense. Like, he has an incredible number of touchdown catches in this year versus, let's say, Puka or somebody else who's getting those on more long range. They're both fairly healthy outside of that, so that should be pretty interesting game. I'm actually going to take the Seahawks. I think that the tide has shifted in their direction here. That's again, they can't beat themselves, and they have sure shown that they're more than happy to do that against the Rams. That's about it. But yes, I'm going to take the Seahawks in this one out.
Yeah, we'll see if just home field advantage can make enough of a difference to push the needle the other way. But yeah, like you say, if they don't make that many mistakes, or God forbid they're like even, they might win by more than just a little. So we'll see. As you say, Devontae Adams is still a huge part of their red zone offense, and there are questions about him. They haven't ruled him out yet, last I checked. So we'll see if he actually ends up playing. But in the last game, he had 1 catch for 1 yard for 1 touchdown. So that is exactly who he is for them. And we'll see if he continues to be that this week. So moving on into Saturday, oddly enough, we get 2 Saturday games this week. One of them is really good, and the other one looks really good coming into the season. First of all, we've got the Eagles going to play the Commanders. The Eagles are still playing pretty well on defense, but still rather sputtery on offense, it feels like. And Washington has gotten somewhat healthy, except they just shut down Jaden Daniels. And I don't mean to suggest that they're healthy other than that. They still have plenty of injuries, but some of their key players were working their way back into rotation, like Terry McLaurin finally.
Yeah.
And now they lose Jaden Daniels for the remainder of the season. We shall see. They do have a pretty good offensive line. They're going to need it if they want to have any kind of puncher's chance at playing spoiler against the Eagles. But the Eagles are just a better roster. So do you give the Commanders any chance of winning this one?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. The Eagles are like, this should absolutely be the Eagles' game to lose. Especially any team with their starting quarterback out should lose to a team like the Eagles. Even though they are coming off a win that is against the Giants, so it's not a lot of positive on the Commanders side to look up to. The Eagles had been not great football against good football teams. But they sure handled the Raiders last week, and I think that's going to be kind of what we see against the Commanders. I still am not a believer that the Eagles have figured it out and turned a corner, and Lord knows I would love for the Eagles to lose, but I'm not going to pick them. I'm taking the Eagles. Unfortunately, it pains me to say, but I'm taking the Eagles in this one. They should really handle this, and it should be an opportunity to kind of have a get-right game twice before the end of the season as they see the Commanders.
Yeah, we'll see. I will say for Dallas, for your squad, they need one of two things to happen for them to have a chance at making the playoffs. And one is the Eagles losing out, and the other would be who did we say? Green Bay, I believe.
Green Bay, yeah.
Green Bay losing out. So, yeah, we'll get to that one here immediately, actually.
Yeah.
So, next, we have the Green Bay Packers in the rematch against the Chicago Bears. The last time these two teams played, it was close, came down to the very end. The Bears just came up short. This week, obviously, the Packers are going to be reeling a bit. The loss of Micah Parsons is huge. There's talk about them not having Christian Watson in this game either, which is another big thing. I believe he had a really good game against the Bears the first go round. On the other side of this, the Bears continue, I feel like, to develop their run game. And so can they really wield that as a weapon against the Packers and keep Caleb Williams from having to throw the ball 40 times? I think that is going to be one of their recipes for success. Who do you have winning this one?
That's a tough one. We just saw these two teams play a couple weeks ago, and Green Bay walked out of that one cleaner than I was expecting. Like, that was a very clean game, I felt like, overall, for them. A lot of running and all of that going on for them. I just think the Bears right now look like the better team, and that's outside of the Micah Parsons. How does that defense? What does that defense look like without him? Theoretically, they will have significantly less pass rush, which is not good. Caleb has shown this year that he can throw the ball. So we'll see. But I think this is the Bears at home. Should be a good game, though. I do expect this to be a good game, whether Mike is there or Watson or whoever. I think this will be a good game.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, it's as much as the Packers have, as Aaron Rodgers said, owned the Bears for a long time. They have frequently been pretty good games. So not always, but frequently been pretty good games. So it'll be interesting to see if the Bears at home this time can spin it back the other direction and take a more commanding control of their division. So we'll see. I don't expect the Packers to go out quietly, though. It's like Micah Parsons is down. I guess we're just done. It's like, no, I don't think that's how this is going to happen. The team's definitely got some fight in it. So
yeah.
All right, then that finishes up the Saturday bracket of games, slate of games. So let's move into Sundays. We get an odd little division playoff matchup kind of thing here. We've got Tampa Bay going to play the Panthers. It's two teams that seem to refuse to take control of their division. Both teams went into last week against theoretically weak opponents, their own division opponents, and they both came up short. So they had these opportunities, and they just both squandered them. So on the other hand, this makes them still even footing. In short, just who do you have winning this game? Because I don't really know what to make of this one.
Yeah, I don't really know either. I think Carolina was showing a lot of momentum. They seemed to have figured things out. They were moving along. Man, the game last week just seemed like a trap game where they came in loose, undisciplined. It felt like they had a ton of penalties. They not tons of turnovers, I don't think, but just a lot of penalties. I felt like they tried to, understandably, force the rushing game. New Orleans did a phenomenal game of holding that off. I think going into this, I would have normally picked them just out of sheer trajectory. But with the Buccaneers, if Baker takes this team to the playoffs right now, how beat up and maligned they've been, I think it'll be quite impressive. This really is this close. I see this as a complete 50-50 ball. I think right now, as weird as it sounds, the Panthers might be the better team. Just in terms of who's healthy, who's playing, how they're playing. But I really expect the Bucs to walk out with this one. So I'm going to pick the Bucs in this one. Lord help me.
Yeah, we'll see. The Buccaneers are the bigger question mark for me. We just because of some of the circumstances that Atlanta game. Seemed like Mike Evans came back and was playing well, put up a lot of yards, really helped him move down the field. Right. And the Atlanta Falcons had 19 penalties accepted on them.
Yeah.
And they still got the win somehow. Kirk Cousins, I think they said right now against Tampa Bay, as an Atlanta Falcons quarterback, he averages like 441 yards per game. because last year he had like 500 in the other game. So he has their number. We'll see if this will be a little less explosive, but
Yeah.
it'll be nice to have a little bit of an answer, at least for a moment, in the NFC South. So then we've got the Bills going to play the Browns. The Bills, man, I'm sorry for all that throat clearing. The Bills are still looking to make the playoffs. They're looking to challenge not just make the playoffs, but looking to win their division. They had a nice win over the Patriots last week. They need to continue if they want to have a shot of winning that division overall. The Browns are a bad team with a good defense. So do the Browns have any real shot of making this one? The only thing I would really care about is Myles Garrett going to break the record this week?
Yeah. I don't know. Josh is not the easiest guy to set records on in that regard. But at the same time, I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked on that one. It is interesting to think that that's kind of the big question coming into this game. I do think that the Bills do need to be careful to not fall themselves prey to a trap game. Just because I still feel like the Browns have another surprising win in them somewhere in here, but I don't think it's against the Bills. I just think that they should definitely not overlook them. The Bills, of course, always have the advantage of having Josh Allen there to kind of win games by himself. So I'm going to stick with the Bills here. Like you said, the most interesting thing on the other side is probably going to be the Myles Garrett and Shedeur, and seeing like, hey, does he continue to progress and all of that?
Yeah, he had kind of a rough week last week, I felt like, but that's to be expected with a rookie quarterback who didn't get a whole lot of first team reps in the offseason. So we'll see what he does. This is not an easy team to play against the Bills, so it'd be a good chance for him to learn. But it should be the Bills all the way. Just get me Myles Garrett a bit closer would be fine. I would like the Browns to win one more game at least closing out so that they can get past my Cardinals in the draft.
Yeah.
Who's embracing the tank? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, then we've got your team. We've got the Chargers and the Cowboys going at it. Chargers favored fairly significantly, but not as much as you'd think for a team that just took out the Chiefs. And the Cowboys, of course, have got to be in absolutely desperate mode at this point and from here on out. Because, yes, they need both. Well, they need either one, the Eagles or the Packers, to lose out for them to have a shot. That also means that you guys got to win out. So you've got to win this game. I'm going to just assume that you're going to give me a scenario how the Cowboys win this game.
Well, I mean, the scenario there is kind of twofold, right? Number one, let's start with what's made I think, in my opinion, the Chargers so successful these last few weeks has been their willingness to absolutely destroy people coming across the middle. They are absolutely crushing people. People will make whatever they want out of the tackle on Patrick Mahomes. It was an unusual not tripping, but like lower leg tackle there. But like them coming across the top, if you're going to throw a hospital pass across the middle, like Pat was specializing in the other day, they're happy to follow through on their end of the deal. So I would say, number one, my first concern is I hope the Dallas Cowboys stay healthy in this game. That has been, in my opinion, the key to their success these last 2 weeks against the Eagles and Chiefs. Ironically, the same two teams that Dallas recently beat. So them playing each other seems like maybe this is more even. If our defense doesn't show up, this isn't even really a game, right? Like we're going to score 30 points. The question is, can we keep them to under 30 points? And I think that's a high task with the way we've been playing. It also appears that teams have figured out if you just put in your blocking tight end or you add an extra lineman who's calling himself a tight end to the end of the line, we don't have an effective way of getting to your quarterback because our defensive coordinator is not a particularly complex blitz package designer from what we've seen. So, I think that this is probably the Chargers game to lose. And as much as, Dallas doesn't really gain tons from losing out. So I would love for us to win all of these games. And everything is downhill after this. I'm still thinking the Chargers pull this one out.
Well, that's disappointing, even for me. It will be interesting. We need to find out more information on two big key injuries for Dallas, Quinnen Williams, and who's going to be playing left tackle for you. I know that Adeniji played well this last week, but I don't want to count on a third string guy as at left tackle too often. And the Chargers have a phenomenal defensive line, and they've had some good pressure. So I'd really love to have a bit more, some reinforcements will hopefully return. Hopefully Quinnen Williams gets through the concussion protocol and is okay and he's able to play. That would, of course, help you get after Justin Herbert, who is not unsackable by any means or measure. So hopefully he will get those things going, and you'll be wrong, and the Cowboys will win.
I'm all for it.
All right. Speaking of teams I want to win, I want the Jets to win this next game. So we got the Jets going to play the Saints, and this is pure tank bowl. Both teams headed towards the draft. The Saints did us a favor by beating the Panthers this last week. They also did the Bucs a favor. And they moved past us, and now I need the Jets to do the same. Both teams are just kind of reeling and heading that way. The Jets are on their third quarterback, and he doesn't really look like he's the guy. But then again, I don't know that they have the roster to really show whether or not you have the guy there. We'll see, but we'll get some more intriguing games out of them. And the Saints are continuing to work out Tyler Shuck and get him some more reps, which is good because I think maybe they've seen enough that they think, let's build around him next season. Who knows what they decide to do? Saints are a funny organization. Who do you have winning this kind of a tank bowl?
Yeah, I think for me, I do think the better team right now is the Saints. But there's certainly not a stable offense in particular that's like, hey, every week we're kind of clicking, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It's kind of an uncertain thing from week to week. I think on the Jet side, outside of the normal quarterback controversy that they've had throughout the season, I think Tyrod's dinged up at best. I'm not even 100% sure if he's playing. So
it'll be Brady Cook.
Oh, well, there you go. Then the irony to backup quarterbacks or third or fourth or fifth string guys like him is it seems like we see those guys come in and at least 1 week they come in and nobody knows how to prepare for them. And so there's kind of that chance, I think, on this, but it doesn't seem like a very high level chance given what we just saw the Saints pull off last week. So I do think this is the Saints game to lose. I do think it would be more entertaining, definitely in the draft, for the Jets to pull off a sneaky win here. But yeah, I think this is the Saints. I'm going to stick with the Saints on this one. We'll see what Mr. Cook can pull off.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Actually, I take that back. It probably won't be interesting. This will be one that I kind of muscle through when I rewatch it. But hopefully there will be some highlights that are worth watching. And hopefully you're wrong about who wins. Then next we've got the Vikings going to play the Giants. Both teams now eliminated from the playoffs. The Vikings, they are trending upward in their last couple of games, but obviously it's it's too late at this point. JJ McCarthy is fighting for that job for next year. I don't know if you heard rumors that they might try to move off of him and bring someone else in next season. Who knows? Maybe he just started to figure it out, or maybe he played the Dallas Cowboys defense. Sorry. On the other side of this, we got the Giants, who represent the first overall pick in next year's draft. Currently, we'll see how that rolls out for the rest of the season. All these teams at the top are in some ways trying not to win, but I think the players still want to win. So we'll see. They've lost so much talent this year that it's going to be tricky for them to win a game, but we'll see. This game that doesn't really have playoff ramifications, who do you have winning?
Yeah, I mean, especially with the way the Vikings played last week, I think I'm going to stick with them. I think the bigger question is just, can they find consistency? McCarthy still has a lot, I think, to prove between now and the end of the season. So can he show that, like, hey, that's not a fluke? Like, we really can do this week to week. I think that'll be a big thing for him. So I expect the Vikings will come in and take this one. Yeah, the poor Giants, we talk about them week to week, just, hanging in there, guys. I don't really think they're even playing bad football most of the time. I just think they're so injured, they're so beat up that it's hard to pull through on those. So yeah, I'll stick with the Vikings.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully this will at least be a fun game to watch for the fans, but yeah, time will tell. All right, so we've got the Chiefs going to play the Titans in what seems like a ridiculous matchup at this point, that this would be even remotely close. But obviously, the huge news for the Chiefs is Patrick Mahomes going down, and so now you've got Gardner Minshew there, and that team is going to change a lot. Now, some Chiefs fans, pretty prominent Chiefs fans, are coming out and saying, like, we're about to find out exactly how much of this team was resting on Patrick Mahomes' back, because some of them are suggesting that they won't win another game this season, which seems wild. But at the same time, if you watch, really watch what their offense does, it's like, yeah, that's a lot of Mahomes magic going on there. And on the other side of this, you got the Titans, who at times play better than it looked like they were capable of playing. But I don't know that they're up to the challenge of beating an Andy Reid coached Chiefs team with or without Mahomes. They still have a lot of talent on that team, aging such as it is, but it is still a lot of talent. So I think some of this may actually be bumping up the numbers for the Titans just based on pure Mahomes terror. Just like he's not here, all is lost kind of thing. So what do you think? Who wins this one?
Yeah, I wish that I thought that the Titans were ready to really press the Gardner Minshew Chiefs, but the Chiefs defense is still there, and I think that they're going to be a real factor in this game. It's still a playoff, I think, caliber defense. I think the Titans are going to struggle with that. I don't think it's somewhat. I would not be surprised to see this being a relatively low scoring game. That could go either way, but my choice would still have to be the Chiefs in this one. I think I like taking underdogs every opportunity I can, and boy, would it shake things up if the Titans were to win this one.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, I think that'll be interesting. I do think there's a danger for the Chiefs to be coming off a little bit of an emotional low from the Pat Mahomes situation, and they're out of the playoffs. There's nothing really to play for from an achievement standpoint this season, so we'll see.
Yeah, it could be interesting. But I think there will be eyes on this game just to see what do the Chiefs look like without Patrick Mahomes right now. Sure. We haven't seen that since 2018, really. I know that he missed a couple of games here and there, but for the most part, it's just been he will play this week, and so we shall see. Maybe the Titans will give us another really interesting highlight, like a Jeffrey Simmons, a defensive tackle touchdown. That could be entertaining, but I won't count on seeing that every week.
Who knows, right? Touchdowns. Who knows? He may pass for a touchdown in this one. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Pass it to a safety for a touchdown.
that'd be something.
Right. So next we've got the Bengals going to play the Dolphins. Both teams eliminated from the playoffs. Joe Burrow's not having any fun, and then he proceeded to really not have any fun as they got shut out and blown out. The Dolphins more recently eliminated from the playoffs. They were playing a bit better, and now that all is lost, they seem to have just embraced the tank because they announced today, I believe, that they are benching Tua Tagovailoa. Now, this could be an actual benching. We are not happy with how he's playing, or this could be more of a he's not really completely healthy, and we prefer not to win any more games this year. We don't really know which this is. It kind of feels more like the former, to be completely honest, but I guess time will tell. They have a big contract with him, and unless they can find a trade partner, they are going to continue having a big contract with him, most likely. So it'll be an interesting offseason for the Miami Dolphins. Tell me if you've heard that one before. Who do you have winning this game?
Yeah, I mean, again, I would have picked the Dolphins with Tua, right? I think they've had some things working. Like things were, I feel like, trending, and they were like, "Hey, let's stop that trend." I'm not 100% sure who's helming. Is it Quinn Ewers maybe? But I think that Joe will have a little fun this week, and that they will win. I think the thing that was interesting in the game that the Bengals just came out of was they just didn't have a lot of other help in the passing game other than Jamar Chase, who's potentially the best wide receiver in all of football. He needs some other people to step up while Higgins is out. I don't know if out is the right word or just injured. Who knows? But just something else to go to there. But assuming they figure that out, and I bet they will, I think the Bengals will take this one.
Yeah, we shall see. I think I might have picked the Bengals even if Tua was starting, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I get it.
There's just the Dolphins have Devon Achane. They have him rolling pretty darn well this year. He is going to get paid this offseason on some team. Dolphins someone else. We don't know. But that's about all that's really working right now. After that, you've got just a kind of iffy offensive roster, and it's just not all performing the way you wanted it to. So I get the Tyreek Hill's been out for a long time now, and that's been hurting them this year, but still, like, it's just not humming along much at all. So next, we've got the Falcons going to play the Cardinals. I'm not supposed to root against my team, but the Falcons winning this game would benefit the Cardinals. They are already past us in the draft. Obviously, if they lose to us, that would move us the other direction and all that. Also, the Rams have the Falcons' first-round pick. So I really need the Falcons to win this game, which sounds detrimental, but I can't help myself. That's just what I need to happen. So please tell me that's what's going to happen.
It's just funny because I'm prepping my case for why the Cardinals I think have a shot here, but it really is about Kirk Cousins, right? Kirk comes back. He had a good-looking game last week. When he's one of those guys, when he's on and they're not making mistakes, they're a pretty good football team. So they just haven't been on that much. So similarly, the Cardinals, the Cardinals have still outscored the Falcons this year by 20 points or something along those lines. They've also given up more points. So I do think this one potentially could be a little bit closer than this. But yeah, I mean, I do think that overall the better average team is the Falcons. They have, I think, they've gotten blown out a little bit here and there, but I think on average, on par, the Falcons, I think it's their game to lose. I just don't think that it's this much of a disparity between the two teams. So yeah, I think that's I'll take the Falcons here just to kind of make you feel better about it. But I don't think I can sell you the case that this is going to be a Falcons blowout, and the Cardinals will maintain their low draft pick here. So
yeah, I don't need it to be a blowout. I just need us to lose.
Could be by one. So.
That's fine. Last second heartbreaker.
Yep.
That's fine. I will say, I was worried last week that the Houston Texans pass rush would really get after us, but we talked about how it didn't feel like they needed to because they were up. And so it was just kind of, we don't really need to rush more than 4. So we'll just drop down. We'll, drop back, make you beat us in front of us. And that's what they did for a large portion of that game. If this game is closer, that Falcons, and it still feels weird to say that Falcons pretty darn good pass rush could really make some noise. They have a very different pass rush than what the Houston Texans have. So it'll be interesting to see how they utilize that. We'll see. I won't be able to help myself but watch this game. So because I'm addicted.
That's the way it should be.
Right. Now we get back to like a more meaningful game. We've got the Jags going to play the Broncos in one of the better games of the week. I know this says it's really lopsided, but I think that this game could be really entertaining. Jags keep on playing well, and I can't help but when I watch them feel like, man, that is a really just balanced team. And they just seem to do everything pretty darn well. I don't think they have the best pass rush in the NFL. I don't think they have the best offensive line in the NFL or the best wide receivers or anything. But man, they don't do anything badly, which makes me quite optimistic for them for the rest of the season and maybe even in the postseason. But they're just different. Most of the contenders in the league do one thing particularly well and then some other good supporting skills. But the Jags may win the balanced award. On the other side of this, you got the Broncos coming off that Chiefs win. Nope, scratch that. They're coming off that that Packers win. They probably feel like they won with the Chiefs because the Chiefs got eliminated. But coming off that big Packers game, Bo Nix had one of the best games of his career, maybe the best game of his career so far. Can he keep up that kind of momentum? This smacks a little bit of last year when he started out a little rough and then got great in the second half of the season and finished out with phenomenal rookie stats and really phenomenal stats, regardless of what year it was. But he just seems to catch his stride, and we're starting to set a pattern here. So who do you have winning this one?
Yeah, I think this one may be kind of my favorite matchup of the week. The Jaguars trend right now is just kind of crazy, right? They beat the Chargers, and we thought, that's a fluke, right? They beat the Colts, and it was like, oh, okay. So now they're going to go play the Broncos. If they beat the Broncos, their last 2 games are not particularly challenging. So I think that's a big deal for them. On the other side of the ball, the Broncos have just been solid week after week. Every time I find a reason to doubt them, they kind of just show back up. I mean, it's only 11 wins in a row. So, it's hard to bet against a team that has been rolling 11 wins over who it doesn't matter who the competition is. They're not always pretty, but they find the way to win. Um, I just feel like I haven't taken enough underdog picks in this one. So I think I'm going to roll Jacksonville. Partly because I really don't think the disparity in this game is this big. I think this is a much, much closer game, even in Denver. But I get why Denver is leveraged the way that they are here, given their 11-game win streak. It has to end at some point. So I think the most likely team to do it is the Jaguars. We'll see. We'll see a lot about who they are this weekend against really good competition. And the Denver Broncos can't sleep on this one because they still do want to close out. Well, I guess they are closed out against the Chargers at this point, but I think in their division, right? So they still probably want to show up. I think this will be a good game. I almost talked myself out of this being a good game, but I think it still will be a very good game.
It should be, yeah. And the Broncos are still, even though their division is locked up, I believe they still have the 1 seed to play for.
Sure.
The Patriots did them a favor by losing, but they are not unreachable for that 1 seed still. So we'll see what happens for closing out the season. I think if the Jags want a shot in winning this game, their biggest thing needs to be to continue to use that run game that they have been leaning on so heavily and so well this season. They're actually, I believe, the number 1 running team in the NFL if you were only looking at like running back yards. I think the Bills have them beat in over rushing yards per game, but of course a lot of that's Superman doing stuff. And Trevor Lawrence doesn't run a whole heck of a lot. So we'll see. They got to get that run game going. That'll also help alleviate some of that insane pass rush that the Broncos have. But hopefully this will be a really good game. We will find out soon enough. We've got another at least kind of playoff matchup here. I know this is incredibly lopsided, but I'm not sure that it should be. It should probably be bent the way it is, but we'll get into it, I guess. We got the Steelers going to play the Lions. Steelers coming off one of their better games this season. Aaron played well. They just had a pretty decisive victory this last week. But the Lions are still one of the more talented teams in football, and there's always that fear that any week they might drop 50 points on someone. Yeah. So with the Steelers defense being rather, who knows, and the status of some of their star players on defense being also rather who knows, who do you have winning this one?
Yeah, I think it may also be their offensive line, I think, is dinged up as well. So the Steelers are going to be under it, I think, in a lot of different ways. It's going to be an uphill battle at home against Detroit. I agree with you that I think these teams right now, the way they're playing, are very, very close. It should be quite a matchup against the sheer athleticism of the Lions, against the kind of composure, hopefully, of the Steelers. I think this is the Lions game to lose. I'm going to stick with the Lions on this one. You know me, I'd love to find my way into convincing myself the Steelers, and I can find ways to do it. There's lots of paths for them to win this game, but I think the Lions are going to have to kind of like hand them the game a little bit for that to happen. So I'm going to stick with the Lions.
Okay. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. Sadly, I say sadly, like I like the Lions, but sadly, it's that lopsided, like it's that clear. I think it would reduce the clarity somewhat if they got some confirmation on if TJ Watt's going to play. But right now, he's still, I'd say, dealing with, doesn't even seem like the right word. He's recovering from this surgery on his partially collapsed lung. There is not a definitive word on if he's going to play this week yet, but maybe we'll get something tomorrow. Maybe we'll get something 5 minutes after we stop recording. Who knows? But regardless, I think I might pick the Lions anyway. Yeah. So we'll see. The Steelers still have a good shot at their own division, which just refuses to have someone run away with it. It's kind of like the NFC South. So anyway, moving on. We've got next the Raiders going to play the Texans. The Raiders, man, they're playing for the first overall pick and, a quarterback in next year's draft like nobody's business. And the Texans, The Texans are the opposite of the Cardinals. Both teams were 3-5 at the same time. The Cardinals haven't won since, and the Texans haven't lost since. They have really put together something special on defense, but more recently, at least the last few games, their offense is starting to put it together as well. Now, I don't think that their offense is the Detroit Lions juggernaut, but they have some weaponry there. They need to get some health. Like, they need to get a bit healthier at running back. But other than that, they've started to play a bit better at the right time. The Raiders on the other side of this, like I said, they are playing for the first overall pick. They basically have Max Crosby and maybe still Brock Bowers if he's managed to stay healthy. And that's about it. It is mostly doom and gloom and wondering if they're going to get a new coach again next year. We shall see. Who do you have winning this game?
Yeah, I mean, the short version is it's the Texans. I mean, you could probably put pretty much any team in that position against the Raiders right now. I just think that they're not playing good football. They haven't obviously been playing good football this season. But then, the whole Geno portion of this on top of it, there's a lot. Again, the Texans, they're a professional football team. The Texans don't want to walk in and sleep on them. But outside of that, this shouldn't be much of a game.
Yeah, again,
unless you're a Texans fan, you might enjoy it. But.
Well, yeah, this is true. Blowouts are fun if it's your team doing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, I'd love to see the Texans get a bit healthier at running back because that guy, Mr. Jaguars, something like that, he played quite well against my Cardinals, but they need to get some stability at that position. They have a whole bunch of guys whose names everyone knows, and they need some of them to get healthy. So that will help them closing out. Next, we've got another playoff implication filled game. We've got the Patriots going to play the Ravens. Sunday Night Football should be a pretty good matchup, but I guess it just kind of depends on what Ravens team decides to show up. Lamar has not really looked like Lamar in a lot of the season, but at times you'll still see the flashes of great. On the other side of this, the Patriots let one slip away against a really good Bills team that seemed like they were playing desperate. And I don't really have any shade to throw at the Patriots for losing that game. I think both teams are incredibly good. And you went toe-to-toe with each other, and you're both, AFC championship favorites. So I think we may get an AFC East, not an AFC East NFC championship, but championship game preview, so to speak, last week. And so I don't really have any, again, shade to throw at them. But this should be a really interesting game, I think, just depending on what Ravens offense in particular decides to show up. Who do you have winning this one?
Yeah, it's a tough one because, the Patriots have, our question has been, what is their pedigree coming into this? Like, great, they're one of the most successful teams in football. They're 11-3, but who have they beat? Like, they beat the Panthers in the early part of the season where they weren't working. They beat the Bills, which is great. Like, they've now split with the Bills, but then it's like they have not played another playoff team except for the Bucs, which they did win. That's it. Like, that's hey, those are the high-end teams. So the Ravens, I mean, the game that they came out of was not an impressive on offense. It was not an impressive game. It was, the defense shutting out the Bengals. That was unusual. Lamar had 8 passes in the game, right? Like, Derrick Henry ran for 100 yards, but only on 11 rushes. Like, they didn't have to really do a lot of work here. So I still don't know what to make of them. And the Patriots defense, to me, in particular in the first half, I mean, they ran over the Bills in the first half. So, maybe they've learned the lesson that, hey, maybe we shouldn't let our foot off the gas ever. Maybe the lesson that comes out of that, who knows? But yeah, I think I'm going to take the Patriots to win this one. It'll be it would be a big deal, I think, if the Ravens pull this one off to show, like, hey, we are ready. We're ready to make a run here. I'm just not convinced yet of where they are and really who they are at this point. So we'll see.
Yeah, again, I'm just hoping for a good game here. When I went back and watched the Patriots-Bills game from last week, it felt like the Bills made really good halftime adjustments, and the Patriots didn't really. It also feels like their pressure is contingent on having, like, what do they call it? Like, it's a coverage sacks and things like that. I don't know why my brain just kind of slipped out of my skull there for a minute, but yeah, they seem to really rely on their secondary a lot, and really any good pass rush usually has both elements, being quite strong secondary and a front. But they seem to be really reliant on great coverage. So we'll see how they can do against an exceptionally mobile quarterback. I guess, Lamar is really not that much more mobile than Josh Allen, which is weird to say, but it could make for a fun second half, I feel like, in this coming game. Lastly, but oddly enough, not least, at least in the entertainment department, we got the 49ers going to play the Colts, the Phillip Rivers-led Colts in 2025. Old man Rivers, he had the Colts rolling and almost beat the Seattle Seahawks, which I can't tell you how happy that would have made me. But anyway, it was close, and he doesn't have to play against nearly that good of a defense this week. The Niners don't have a terrible defense, but you can definitely put some yards on them more easily than you can a Seattle team. The 49ers are it's weird to say that they're kind of sneaky rolling, but this is the least talked about 10-4 team in the NFL. It's like everyone's just assumed, they've got too many injuries, so they're done. And they're 10-4, and I think they're doing quite well in the division games that they've played. And It's just like, hold on a second, they might actually win the NFC West. Don't sleep on the Niners. So that all being said, you got any scenario in there where the Colts somehow beat the Niners?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the surface story of the game against the Seahawks, who I still think the Seahawks are a better team than the 49ers. I don't think it's by miles, but I still would put them over the Niners, was the inability of the Seahawks to score in the red zone, like to put a touchdown on the board. I think that that's pretty incredible, honestly, for that defense and the way that they play it. Can they hold? And the 49ers are Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, he is their leading receiver and their leading rusher. If you can control and really kind of close him out, which I'm not saying is even possible, but if you can do that, I think you've got a real shot at winning this game. Now, Phillip Rivers comes back. He's a grandfather now. He is, who knows what he's been doing and when he's got all the knowledge. He's got all of those things in there. But hey, in 4 days, were you able to get NFL ready? No. He did great for what he had at the time. He's got a whole nother week, to gel with these guys, to get in the system even more, to get in maybe a little bit better shape, all of those kind of things, right? I expect to get a little bit more from him this week, and we'll see what that turns into. I think the Colts are going to be in this game. I think this will be another close game. Can they keep the 49ers from scoring touchdowns? I don't know. But I do think that was under thought through on the kind of how that last game went. So I'm going to stick with the 49ers, but I think that this will be a game.
Yeah, that could be really fun. Being in Indianapolis might give them a little bit of edge, maybe that they need. They've got to get Jonathan Taylor rolling again. He really didn't do anything that crazy against the Seahawks, I don't recall. So if they can do that, it'll open up things for Phillip Rivers to do more Phillip Rivers-y things. Hopefully he did not mess up his shoulder. I saw them working it during the game last week. Hopefully he's all right there. Otherwise, this could be a bit anticlimactic. But yeah, I'd agree with you. This should be the Niners game to lose. So, but it's a really fun way to close out next week. So Good times. Well, all right. Excellent. Well, let's wrap this up. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Let us know down in the comments what you think about individual games. Maybe we're not thinking of something. Maybe we missed a big impactful injury and we didn't know. Or maybe we're just wrong about our assessment of something. So just let us know down in the comments what you think. We're trying to get to 200 subscribers. We really appreciate everyone who's already subscribed and joined us. We hope that newcomers will join us again and tell us how silly we are for being Cardinals and or Cowboys fans. We love that stuff. So, yeah, just come let us know. And I hope that everyone has a great holidays coming up and that you have a fantastic day.